Hello, good evening. It's Thursday night. It's a good, nice Thursday. We're about to get our fifth? Wow, DCMS takeover going. In the background you're hearing our artist tonight, Solia, her song Last Pity Party. So we're gonna jam for a minute. Hey. Just gonna wait another minute to see if we can get some folks to join in. DC Music Summit, if you guys don't know, is a local DC, Maryland, and Virginia organization that aims to help DC-based, DMV-based musicians and industry thrive. And right now, it's a crazy, unprecedented time of a pandemic. And so folks are having to pivot and do different things for creativity. And this project, if you will, is called Creating in COVID. How are we pivoting? How are we doing? What are we doing if we're doing to switch up our creative lifestyle when it comes to staying at home in quarantine and social distancing? You're listening to Solia, The Last Pity Party. She'll be joining us momentarily. I'm Megga. I do marketing for DC Music Summit. I'm also a vocalist and songwriter. So I guess without further ado here, hello everybody for joining. Feel free to share the live, send it around. Anybody that's here who knows Solia or anyone who's just new to the community or follows us, thank you for joining us. Welcome. This is our Creating in COVID interview, DCMS takeover. Tonight we're interviewing Solia. So, all right, I'll get her in here. Let's see. Going live. Oh, what I will do though is I will add a little background. There we go. Alrighty. Waiting for Solia. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. So you said this is your first time doing a live?
Yeah, this is like, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's like a little nerve-wracking, but like once we get going, you'll like realize it's just like talking to, FaceTime or
Yeah,
something. And everybody's has to get used to doing the live stuff these days,
exactly. Yeah.
So welcome to our Creating COVID DCMS Takeover interview. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
So why don't
having
you
me.
tell us? Yeah. So you are described as an emotionally aggressive indie pop artist who's writing the soundtrack for your heart sounds. Is
Yes,
that correct? Yes.
that
So
is
tell
correct.
tell tell me about what that means to you.
So, first off, I've always been told that I'm like too much and I feel like other black girls, black women can relate to being told they're too much of something. And for me, I was too emotional.
Mm.
And as a songwriter and getting older, I definitely embraced that part of me and realized it was my superpower. And so just, it can, for some people, it can be aggressive. And I'm just like, okay, then I'm aggressive. Then nothing wrong with that. But as for writing the soundtrack to your heart sounds, my goal is to write songs that people relate to and songs that help put into words that they need, what they may be feeling if they don't know how to express that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta own who we are, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
every inch of us, and not apologize.
Nope.
So that's awesome. So tell us about the art that you create and why you create art.
Yeah, I create music. I love words. I love sounds. Um, they make it's how I music is how I relate to the world. I'm definitely the person who, if you say a word or a phrase, I immediately connect it to a song and burst out into song. Like it's
Same.
like watching musical movies for me is like, okay, yeah, the world, why doesn't everybody just burst out into song and choreography every second of the day?
Mm.
Um, and I make music for, like I said, people to live their lives to and to speak to myself as a younger child, and people that uh, may look like me, to just, letting them know that they're not alone in how they're feeling, and let them know that they're not, um, that there's somebody else who's just like them, who looks like them, who's a little bit weird, who's a little bit out there, um, but is not afraid and ashamed of it, who fully embraces all of it.
So is that kind of you also describe yourself as a strange American?
Yes.
Is that kind of along those lines? Just a little bit
Yeah,
weird, but you're still an American woman person, and you know,
right. There's so many facets to just people, a human, and it's like my favorite thing about people is just learning all the different sides to them and all the little quirks that they have. And so, what, and like oftentimes the word that's used to describe that is strange,
mm,
or weird. And I don't see those as negative things. I see them as things to fully be embraced and to share with the world, because somebody else out there likes your brand of weird, likes your brand of strange.
I like that, your brand of weird. Because I mean, that's in the end of the day, that's what branding is. It's like
Yeah,
differentiating and like what makes you different, not what makes you like others, you know?
right. Everybody's a little bit weird, but there are certain types of weird that other people can collectively relate to. Like, oh, you're weird just like me
You're
in
weird
that
like
same
that.
way. Yeah. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like, and when you see someone who's like that, then I feel like it brings out the full humanness of somebody. Like, you're like, oh, wow.
Mm.
Like, you like the same weird thing that I like that I thought was just me, but like, we can like it together and we can be people to it's my thing. I like finding those things to relate to people with.
And music is one of the major connectors in those senses. Like, you know, they call it genres, or we call it like, you know, whatever. But
Hmm.
music is that it has the power to bring people together that feel like that. You know, like feel like make
Right.
so.
One of my favorite, like some of my favorite things is to go to a concert, um, of my one of my favorite artists, and just realize how many other people like this thing that I thought only I liked, or just me and a couple of people liked. But it turned out, no, there's a whole room full of people who all like this thing as much as I do. And
Mhm.
you get in there and you're jumping around and you're dancing and it's crazy. And like, so I think that is a unique thing that happens with music or the arts in general. Like, you get in a room full of other people who like this one specific thing that you also like, and you guys walk out of there with this amazing shared experience. And I think that's one of
Bond.
the, yeah, that's one of the only things, in like a positive way, I should say, like a shared positive experience, because there's a lot of shared experiences you can have with other people, but this is one of the ones that are, um, affirming of your humanity.
Mm. That's awesome. So you performed at the DC Music Summit in
Back in
February.
February,
Does that seem
which was 2 years ago. Yeah,
like forever ago?
it was
Like
like 2 whole years ago.
a whole lifetime and a half ago. And I wish I saw your performance. I was like running around doing everything, doing things with
Hmm.
you. But I saw that you posted a clip of it, and you looked awesome, and you
Thank
sounded
you.
awesome. You sounded awesome. What like okay, like obviously life has changed a lot for us. Like we're not performing out as much. A lot of people,
Hmm.
no one's really touring. What has changed for you in the pandemic? Like what, like specifically, music wise, creativity wise, has been like one of the biggest challenges or changes for you?
One of the biggest challenges has definitely been not performing, um, but also just not going out as much. Period. Um, so a lot
Mm,
of my weekly schedule had me half of the week I spent working my day job, and then the other half of the week I spent um, working my dream job. And now I just
hmm.
spend half the week like working my day job and trying to figure out the other half of the week trying to figure out, okay, how do I still make my dream job work?
Come true.
Um, yeah, yeah. Um, so that's been the biggest challenge is trying to figure out, like, okay, so much of what I have learned and experienced about music has happened in a collective group setting. So how do I learn how to do this thing that I want to do uh, back in my bedroom? But in a lot of ways, it's like taking me back to my roots because where I started was just making music for myself in my bedroom. So a lot of it is just like, okay, now you have to remember how to do this again instead of doing that other thing that you learned how to
Mm,
do. So it's more like coming back to basics than um, trying to figure out how to do something new.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Like, so you've recorded in your house before? Like, do you have all like recording equipment and you did like you recorded in your house before?
Yeah, so I had my little laptop and a little rinky-dink microphone and a little rinky-dink USB audio interface, and I learned how to record myself um, in one of those free student version softwares that come with whatever you buy, and just taught myself how to do music that way, and then learned how to do it on a bigger scale. But yeah, so but now it's like coming back, and I have shinier toys and more, bigger equipment, but the fundamentals is still the same. It's like, how do you take something from being in your bedroom and sharing it with the world through your laptop and
Yeah.
engaging that way? So, and I've been watching artists, both locally as well as, international artists like Katy Perry, and what they're doing and how their content is changing to accommodate for not being able to be in those group spaces. So it's been really interesting and learning about and seeing that play out.
What has been a piece of gear or equipment that you've gotten? You mentioned new shiny toys. What's something that you got that you are like, wow, I'm glad I invested in this, or like it's working really well in quarantine life? What's an example of what you
Um,
work with?
my MIDI keyboard. Before, I mean, and when I say shiny and new, I mean new since I first started.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, but when I first started, I didn't have a MIDI keyboard. So if I wanted a piano on a song, I had to find a piano, rig up a microphone, and do it that way. That's how I did an earlier song called Strong on one of my EPs. Um, but then I got my MIDI keyboard and I was like, whoa.
A
And
whole
it's
new
been
world.
whole new world. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been so good. It's been so good.
So, and I saw that you recorded, you created the pity party video, last pity party video, and I saw something like, "Oh, this isn't really how I planned it with pandemic, but this came out way better, than you
Yes.
expected it." Tell me about the process of kind of rejiggering and redoing the planning for that video, and
Mhm.
how it ended up
Right.
being what was better.
So I literally was finishing up the track at the beginning of March as things were shutting
Wow.
down.
Yeah.
And but in that before I finished the track, I was also planning how to do like planning out the video. But it just so happened that getting the finished song to send out to people to be in the video coincided with like, oh my gosh, next week they're talking about closing everything down. And how am I going to do a video when everything is closed down? So then trying to figure out like how do I still have people in my video while still being able to have the energy and the heart of the video still come through. And that's when I was just like, well, I can send the song to people and they can film themselves and
Mm,
have their own good time at home.
that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. And I like to think that I kicked off the quarantine video kind of thing
Okay.
because I put out my video in March, and it was until after March that I started seeing all these other
People
people.
were just doing recording, like collaborating in their own house and then sending the
Yeah,
video
and
files
then
to, yeah. So
yeah, yeah.
did you put that together? Did you produce that video?
I did. I put all the clips together and did the edits and made that for
Good for you.
the internet because you have to like. And then the other thing was like I don't know who I can send this to get it out in the time that I want to get it out. So I just need
Hmm.
to figure this out. Um,
You figured it out.
yeah, I'm handy like that. I'm definitely a person who's like, so we have a puzzle and we're gonna solve it. So help me.
What software did you use for the video?
I used Adobe Premiere Pro.
Nice.
Yeah.
And like that's a big part of what DCMS is. It's like trying to find those little skills, the little things that, that we can do independently. We don't have a team. Maybe we're not signed, like
Yeah.
we don't have the budget like that. We're just trying to do it all on our, on our jack of all trades situation. So, you know, you're a great example of
Yeah.
someone who like, of our community that's like doing it, you know.
Hi, Sonia. Sorry, I'm just seeing
Oh,
people
I
pop
know.
up.
I love Sonia. Hi, Sonia. Everybody knows Sonia.
Oh, yeah. If you don't know Sonia, what are you doing?
Yeah, right? Like, oh man, I miss everybody too. Like
I
it's been
I miss so many people. One of my good friends, Amaji, I haven't seen her for I think the last time I saw her was April, like in person, and I just miss her.
so yeah, that's been a hard like a hard aspect of being a musician here. But that reminds me, my another question I had was how do you stay connected with the music community? And
Hmm.
maybe and also your audience. So it's like kind of two different communities, but like what do you do to try to stay connected and continue to build relationships there?
Hmm. So one of the fortunate things that I have, like I said, I work with Amaji, and she founded the Kappa Groove Collective back in 2018, and I'm working with her to manage the collective along with Daniel Warren Hill, who was
Oh,
someone
nice.
on the
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
excuse me. We're all three of us are working together with building up this collective, um, and they're all artists just like us. And the idea is co-opetition instead of competition, and we're working together to just
Co-opetition.
to lift each other up and to really boost each other's projects. Like I love that recently. We've had at least two or three releases from members in the collective. Jerome Williams.
Giro.
Hmm.
I did a cover of Shallow with him, and that was one of the
Uh,
highlights of my music life so
isn't he
far.
awesome?
I love him. He's a ray of light.
I know. He always makes me laugh, always makes me smile. But so something we've done like in the collective is weekly. We have just Zoom chats on a weekly basis just to catch up and say hello and
Oh, that's great.
see how we're doing and check in. And um, that's, I mean, on the music community side.
Hmm.
And on the audience side, I've just been very active on social media, more than I typically have in the past. Um, like responding to people, saying hello to people, doing live streams, um, and just really just trying to stay connected digitally because I know that because of the job that I have, my day job, it kind of restricts my movements in terms of I don't want to come into contact with anyone that I don't need to come into contact with because I work with immunocompromised people.
Mm. Hmm.
Um, excuse me. And so I don't want that to, but I don't want that to stop me from like seeing people and saying hello to people. So I definitely have been in love with my phone and my computer since quarantine started.
Yeah, who knew? All this technology would help us out like that.
Yeah.
So you said have you done live stream performance?
I did like the month of June. I had 6 live stream performances.
What?
Yeah, I did another. I did a live stream performance with DC Dogs, um, and I just once in a while will just pop on to say, "Oh, I'm not doing anything today, so let's just do like
Good
20,
for you.
30
Yeah.
minutes." I did a live stream with Girls Rock DC to help fundraise for them for their summer camp.
Nice.
So it's been fun, like just getting online and just grabbing my guitar and just me, my guitar sounds through my phone screen has been exciting.
It feels good, even if it's not physically in front of people. Like it just feels good to, perform, and people are like with you. They're listening and they are like
Yeah.
engaged with you,
Hmm.
like what's been a has there been any crazy things that have happened on live stream, or like any like lessons learned or like anything like that?
Um, Lessons learned is you should find a way to practice your live streams before you try to do
Mm,
them live. We had a big learning curve with trying to do a live stream with Capital Groove Collective, but it's just yeah,
mm-hmm.
just taking technology. We're becoming more reliant on technology, and because of that, we need to learn it a little bit more. So
I
just
know,
taking
learn
the
it.
time to practice, especially if you are having to do a lot of things by yourself, like giving yourself time, and don't be frustrated with yourself when you can't pick something up right away. Just
Mm,
give yourself more time to learn that thing before you try to implement it, um, so you don't get have the frustration of doing something live and also working with new technology
yeah.
and trying to be, come up as your best self. You don't want to do all of that for the first time in one go because that can be really bad.
It's great advice. One thing I did was I created a Finsta, which means
Oh
fake
my gosh.
Instagram.
I okay. So
I
I
learned this
have
from the kids.
little exactly. I was about to say I have little cousins who are like, "Oh my gosh, my Finsta." And I'm just like, "A Finsta? What is that?" And so they'll show me what their
Oh
Finsta. I
my
was just like,
God. Like how do they
what is
manage all that is my
like?"
question.
They have their and like my one little cousin, she was like, "Oh yeah, I have a Finsta, and I just do this every day. And like, if they're not engaged, then I delete them." And I'm just like,
Mm,
that's too much work and too much energy you
it's
put
a
into
lot.
social media. So,
For me, the Finsta, like first I started it to do what you just said, like to practice just live streaming, see if connections working, like see if
hmm.
audio's working or whatever. But like now I'm like, let me just post like pictures of my cat sometimes, like whatever. Like, but the Finsta is a good, at least for people who are doing live streams. It's like just a good way to go
To
live
practice.
without really going live. Like maybe
Yeah.
maybe like your mom can join and like say, "Can you hear it? Like how does it sound?"
Yeah,
And if
I might make one now,
your mom can figure it out, anyone can figure it out or whatever,
right? If my mom can figure it out, anyone can figure it out.
then you're golden, and
Yeah,
it's gonna work out the best that you can make it.
exactly.
Oh man.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And that's like this is like a major venue. Like it's like our venue. It's like our own
Mhm.
personal little venue. Like you make your little stage, like,
You have a
you set
stage,
your
you
vibe or whatever.
mhm.
And like,
Mhm.
and before where maybe there was a block, maybe somebody couldn't come to your show physically or whatever, they couldn't come. Like now it's like in a way it's a little more accessible,
It
like
is. It is.
so people can come from all over that wouldn't be able to come, or they, whatever, they could just join for free, and like, it's a there's pros and cons to all this stuff.
Yeah.
Would you was is there a any celebrity or musician that you would like love to go live with, and like it's like, I mean, I'm not a celebrity, but like if I was like who would be
I
fun
love going
to
live with
talk
you.
to?
I would love to. There are a couple people. I would love to go live with Lizzo if she did
Yeah.
that. I would love to go live with Taylor Swift if she was a person that went live often, but she doesn't. But if she did, I would love to go live with
I'm
her.
gonna go live with Tay.
Um, Taylor Swift, Lizzo, those are like my top two.
Yeah, that would be really fun. I would
Hmm.
be I would freak out though. But like
Oh my gosh, it would be
Dior,
everything in me.
yeah, I'd be like, ugh. Dior, Ashley Brown, who's our founder of
Hmm.
DCMS,
Love her.
she's yes, we love Dior. Has like she's had some good luck with like joining like Fat Joe, like
Oh
to
yeah,
just
I
like
saw
to just
that.
press like
Yeah.
request. Basically, like if someone goes live and you see like request to be in the video, like you did or whatever, she just kept pressing request and like some people like and she went live with someone else too, I forget, but like she was going hard at like the joining the celebrities like lives like for a while, and that was cool. Like I'm sure she talk about like audience building, like talk
Yeah.
about and also just like insights and like talking to people, like you just never know what you can learn, and even about yourself, like this when you're having a conversation, like which we don't do as much. I mean, I talk to as many people as I can, but like it's certainly not as much as pre-pandemic. I'm not having like
Right.
long conversations with like people that I don't talk to regularly, like the person I live with or whatever,
Hmm. Hmm.
like so even talking to you like this is beautiful, like it feels good to
Right.
have like a real conversation.
Yeah. It's been one of the things I will say about all of this that I mentioned earlier is the coming back to basics of
Mm,
all of this and really getting back to my roots as a musician and really allowing that to inform decisions about how I want to move forward with things and falling in love with music again. Like I
mm.
legitimately found myself falling in love with old recordings and voice memos of songs that I made. Hey, Gail.
Oh,
So I was like, oh my gosh, I remember when I made that. Like, and I literally have voice memos and recordings all the way back to 2014,
mm.
just in the cloud on my phone. And it's like, oh wow, no, I really do love music. And taking the time to just really stop and slow down has made me realize that it's not just the hustle of what we're trying to do as indie musicians, but like, no, I really just love music.
And like
Um,
expression, like
yeah,
in any way,
yeah.
shape. That's a great idea. Like, man, I don't even know how many voice notes. Because like for me, like I'll record something like some weird little melody, and then I'll go back and be like, that was dumb, like that was flat, la, da, 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 But like, you're inspiring me to like just handle it, devote like a weekend for just listening to all these melodies that I made up and like being non-judgmental and like just saying, hey, chill out, listen to your former self because maybe she's got something for you,
I
like
legitimately have written at
so.
least three songs since quarantine started that have all come from old voice memos. Or
Oh my God,
one
I love that.
one song in particular was something that I started randomly on one of my live streams, and I just like was just fiddling around, and I'm just like, oh, okay, and like I revisited a couple weeks later, and I was like, oh, actually, this could be a song, not just me musing around, but like an actual song, and so, yeah, writing.
Yeah, it's this is in a way, yeah, like back to basics, getting back to just the simple creation of
Hmm.
writing poetry or just like like you said, like learning your MIDI piano or whatever it is, like just being looking at our basic like music skills and loves and just like reconnecting with that. That's a great point.
Yeah. And I don't want to just focus on like what I can't do right now. I think it's more
Mm.
important to focus on what I can do. What I can do is I can still
Yes,
make music.
ma'am.
I can still write music. I can still make music. I can still talk to people and collaborate with people online. I can still practice my live show, even though I'm not at. So that when I come back, better believe those live shows. I am so excited for when we come
You will
back
be
out of all of
on
this.
point and ready.
Not just me, but like I'm excited when Broadway comes back. All of the vocals, oh my gosh, they're gonna be beautiful. Like everyone coming back to do a live show. The live shows when we come back from all of this is gonna be
A lot of
they're gonna be
tears.
so amazing. Probably definitely for me, I'm gonna be like standing in the middle of a Heinz show or
Just
something,
like
jamming out and like crying. Like,
imagine
yeah.
hearing, yeah, like hearing a chorus of harmony like in front of you, you know, like because
Hmm.
us singers, we're called super spreaders, like, you know, because we are like, you know,
Hmm.
and like, so
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
why it's like singing in a chorus has been totally, paused for who
Yeah.
knows how long. So it's like just remembering the feeling, like at DCMS in the morning, we had a church choir come and like, oh my God, it was like 50 people singing all like
Wow.
6-part magical harmony. And I was, just like, just to feel that, again would probably
Yeah.
be just spectacular. But right, we're in the basics now. We're in the basics.
Right. Falling
Um,
back in love with the things that
yes.
made you fall in love with music in the first place.
Do you have any new routines or like mantras or anything that have come from the COVID era that helps you stay creative?
New routines is that I front load my day with me. The first, from when I wake up till about like maybe 11, 12 o'clock is all about me and what I want to do in terms of whether that's doing stretches, whether that's doing
Mm.
reading, whether that's watching inspirational videos or listening to podcasts. It's all about me. And a lot of the time, happen in that time as well.
Nice.
The rest of my day with whatever. Um, like for example, today is a particularly exceptional day because I had like meetings back to back for like 5 hours. But that's not a typical
Woo!
day, but right, but something like that, having that front loaded day of just me lets me go into the rest of the day like whatever it is. If I
Mm.
have to be sitting in front of my computer on Zoom for 5 hours, then I can do that. I have the mental wherewithal to do that because I already satisfied what I needed to do for myself for that day. And then something that I borrowed from my friend because I spend so much time on Zoom calls. My friend Kaisha Hughley, she's worked an aspiring Broadway actress, and she has her virtual background on Zoom, the Broadway stage for Wicked, because Elphaba is a dream role of hers.
Wicked.
Yes, no one mourns the wicked. Um, but like so that's a.
Goodness.
I know. Oh my gosh! Don't get me started on Broadway shows because I could sing
Oh, we could
forever.
go on about Wicked.
um, yes, but she made that her virtual background, and so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna totally borrow that idea. Give her credit, of course, but like I made my virtual background the anthem um,
Oh,
down in
nice.
DC, and I'm just and because that's a place that I am going to sell out one day, and it's going to be fantastic. Um, so
Hey, that
yeah,
is a
yeah, yeah,
manifestation statement if I ever heard one.
yeah. I'm gonna sell out
If
the
you care to
anthem.
find me, look towards the western sky.
Yes, yes. 2 nights, by the way. They're
Yay.
gonna
Well, if
need
you care
two
to find
nights
me,
for
look
me at the
if you
anthem.
if you hey, if you care to find me, come to the anthem. What
Right, if
let's
you
see,
care to
what
find
what
me.
would that what do you think that date and month would be?
Um, October.
October. Ooh,
Two
yeah.
nights in October.
Magical, crispy
Mhm,
October
mhm.
evenings.
But like one of the milder October evenings, so that like you can still walk out of the anthem and not really need a jacket because you would have been like, you don't want to go from like sweating in the anthem to like brisk cold outside. So I want it to be like the perfect day.
Is your shows like do you like are there's a lot of dance like people are we dancing or are we like
I'm
encaptured by motion or by music
mhm.
what is an audience like your audience typically like feel like
I'm building and working on that. Like one of the things that quarantine has allowed me to do is really rethink and deep dive like, okay, what do I want people to experience when they come to a show?
mm-hmm.
And I want them to experience fun, but I also want them to experience some of the emotional stuff. So it's gonna be like a
Mm-hmm.
mixture of the two. Like they're gonna be some dancey. Like, have you ever been to a Walk the Moon show?
Oh, hell yeah. Been a
Yeah.
few walk the moons. Yeah.
Yeah, they've come through DC a few times, and they're every time amazing. And when they
Ooh, I'm having a little connection issue. Sorry, what'd you
yeah,
say?
when they sing Iscariot,
Yeah.
yeah, that's I want them to. But then like they also have the other sign, the 1 foot, what foot? So like it's that range of going from Iscariot
And the
to one
car, what's
foot
the one where
to
they do the lifting a car over their
yeah.
head or
I can lift a
something like,
car. I can lift a
yeah,
car
yeah,
up
yeah.
all by
Oh,
myself. Yeah.
over my head. There it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, they were so good. I saw them at the first Firefly Festival on like a small stage. I had
Mm.
never heard of them, and they were covering David Bowie's "Let's Dance," and I was like
Oh wow.
mesmerized. I was like, "Who are these
When did
humans?"
I don't remember
Was
when I
that I
first heard
think?
of them, but the first time I saw them live was at um oh, what's that venue called? It's a oh geez, U Street Music Hall.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, that's
Saw them at
great.
U Street Music Hall. Then I saw them at 9:30 Club a couple of times,
Yep. They moved
two
on up.
times,
Yep.
and I was just like, oh, that's
Oh man, I
awesome.
wonder what they're doing. I
Um,
wonder
growing
what they're up
beards,
to.
getting married, having babies. One of them is married and has a baby now.
Oh, wow. They're growing beards
Yeah.
and getting married and having babies. Okay, that's cool. That's
Hmm.
cool. I mean, they pretty much have lived their dreams. You know what I mean? And like, it's like, okay, like maybe we can sidestep a little bit and do another part of our life, which is,
Yeah. I hope they come
marriage and
back.
kids for
I
many of
hope they
us.
come back to DC
All right,
because
so
it would be awesome.
they will. They will. They've got to. They've got to.
They've got such a strong
Before
crowd
we head
anyway. Yeah.
out, what? Yep, I know, I know, I know. There was a big, strong following. Everybody had the face paint. You know,
Hmm.
they have a lot of people who love them, so they'll still be doing their thing. Um, Before we head out, what do you have coming up? Do you have any live streams? I know you have a new EP out, and the last pity party is available everywhere.
Right.
What do you
So,
have anything planned in the wings that we can know about?
right now I'm very heavily focused. I'm in creation mode right now. So I'm very much like in my
Hmm, hmm.
bubble. So nothing really new coming out, but you may see some like acoustic versions of songs that I've released or re-releases of older songs done with like new, like remastered or remixed. Um,
Nice.
and yeah, Last Pity Party is just keep an eye out on Last Pity Party because this is not the last time you're going to hear about it. This is not the last time you're going to dance to it. So it will be around. Just keep an eye out.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so that's pretty much our little interview here. Is there anything else you want to say to inspire, our community as we change our, kind of change our worlds? And you said a lot of good stuff. So,
Yeah, don't be
but if
like
any closing
definitely
words?
nothing is forever, and don't be afraid to use this time to focus on yourself, especially if you're an artist. This is the perfect time to figure out, like, to try that thing you haven't tried before, to do that thing you always wanted to do but felt like it wouldn't fit anywhere. Like, this is the perfect time for to try anything. Um,
Love it.
and don't let yourself get discouraged by what you can't do. Always think about, okay, I can do this. I can try this. There's so much that we can still do.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds like a song.
Mhm.
Sounds like a Solia song.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right. Well, it's fabulous to meet you.
You as well, Meg.
Hopefully in the, future IRL. But until then, I'll be following you
Catch me around the internet
and
somewhere.
catch you what's going on in the internets.
Yeah.
And we'll all be together soon.
Yes.
Have a wonderful night and weekend.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye, Solia.
Bye.
All right, y'all. We can closing on out now. Play Solia's song as we close. Yeah, so this was Creating in COVID DCMS Takeover with Solia. Thank you so much for joining us. Mwah. You're wonderful, and you're a part of why we are doing this. I'm Megga, DCMS team member, DC Music Summit. If you don't know, we are a local event that is aiming to be a nonprofit resource for local musicians and industry. And as you can see, we've got a GoFundMe. So if you visit our website, dcmusicsummit.org, you can support us that way if you're feeling frisky. It's all going towards helping Dior and the team transition into an organization, and not just an annual summit. So follow along, keep up with us. Thank you so much for spending your Thursday evening with us. And the next takeover. Oh, but I will say that Solia will be doing stories. Solia will be doing stories for the next 48 hours. So check out our stories and follow her around and see what else she's got going on, what good stuff you can learn from her. And then the next takeover we have will be Brassy on August 31st. So join us then. Hang out. Until then, keep creating in COVID. We got to do this together. Nothing is forever. And, we're just going to continue to be kind to ourselves and be kind to other people. And hustle on. All right. Peace, everybody. Night, night.